This episode is proudly supported by Montague, handpicked for you.
So the eating experience of our plums is sweet. That's a primary driver. It's got to be sweet, but it's also got to have enough acid, because the mix of acid and sugar is what gives fruit its flavour. And in a plum, it tends to be slightly higher acidity. And then a really nice, full, not dry, but juicy explosion of juice into your mouth as you bite into it. That's nirvana for us in terms of plum.
For more information, go to montague.com.au.
The mussels in South Australia and Port Lincoln have quite a sweet flavour, which is just basically what they eat. It's a special area, and it really does bring something to the mussel that we harvest and send around Australia.
This is Fishtales, a seafood podcast. I'm John Susman. Continuing the incredible story of Andy Puglisi's life in seafood, in this episode we hear of his move from prawns and tuna into mussel farming. The establishment of mussel farming in Port Lincoln was part of a broader trend of aquaculture development in the region in the late 20th century. The industry was established as a response to the growing demand for seafood, as well as the need to diversify the local economy and create new employment opportunities. The development of mussel farming in Port Lincoln was driven by several factors, including the abundance of clean, nutrient-rich water in the region and the availability of suitable sites for growing mussels. The region has a strong tradition of fishing and seafood production, which provided a supportive environment for the establishment of the mussel farming industry. The Puglisis, with their rich heritage in the seafood industry and a constant hunger to keep progressing, once again found themselves pioneering a new fishery in South Australia.
So back in 2000, it was actually a bit before that. 94, there was a couple of guys there, a guy called Andy Dyer and Dave Hockaday in Port Lincoln. Really Andy Dyer. He was instrumental in it, where he came from Western Australia, where he was sailing in the America's Cup back in the day, and he was over there. They were mussel farming in Coburn Sound, and he said, "Well, why can't we do that in South Australia?" He moved to South Australia. I think he just had enough of Perth and moved to South Australia. Came to Port Lincoln and. He was a carpet layer at the time, so he got to Port Lincoln and checked out. He was one of the best sailors in Port Lincoln, and he was out sailing around the bay. And as he went past the pylons and the jetty and that sort of stuff, he saw all these mussels, and he's going, "Oh, hang on, they were growing those in Coburn Sound. Why can't we grow them here?" So he started up him and Dave Hockaday started mussel farming in Port Lincoln back in '94. And around that same time, it was put out to industry, whether the tuna industry, and the old man came to me and said, "Well, they're handing out these plots of water to mussel farm. What do you think?" And I said, "Oh, well, can't keep saying no to everything. Let's have a go at that." Anyway, we got a plot of water. We applied for it and received it, and along with 13 other mussel farmers in Port Lincoln, and so there's 14 of us there, and we had a couple of false starts up until 2000. Down the yacht club, actually, I was just getting ready to go for a sail, and I said, having a chat to Andy, I said, "How's the mussel farm going?" He said, "It's going okay. It's hard work. It was at that stage quite a cottage industry, where it was Andy and his wife and another decky. They would go out. And they were catching they were producing about 50 or 60 tonne a year. A good year was 60 tonne, and he was doing better than most. So over a few beers after sailing that day, we sort of come up with a bit of a plan, and he would start mussel farming with us. Put a couple of lines in the water next year. So we prepped it all up, and at that stage we still had our tuna farm operation. So we had 2 boats that were really well set up without a lot of additional machinery. They were well set up to do the job. One of those boats was a boat called the Mayor, which was my boat, and it's a boat we still got today it's a backbone of our industry, of our business and our company. So in 2000 we put a couple of lines out, and I think our first year of mussel farming we produced 58 tonnes, and we learnt a lot in a very short space of time. Andy was the mussel farmer, not the grower, and I was the seller. We used our prawn buyers and our contacts in the Sydney market here, and we he grew them and I sold them, and that was the thing he always struggled with was selling his product. He could grow it no problems, but couldn't. It was a lot harder to get out of Port Lincoln to go and see those fish buyers, and the guys that I sort of grew up with. So it was a lot easier for me. And we got stuck into that, and each year after 58 tonnes the first year we learned some really good lessons where we started up a great industry and great relationships with a couple of buyers, and turned around. We started their business up in mussels, and when we said just before Christmas, we said, "Oh well, good to see you guys. We've run out. We'll see you next year." They actually still they had customers that they were buying mussels off of them. They had to find it from somewhere else. So they ended up going to our opposition, and we lost some of our sales to our opposition by doing that. So that was a valuable lesson for us. To make sure that you've got a customer, the customer's king. You make sure that you, and from that over the years it evolved that we had a consistent supply of our product and also a consistent quality. And that's what the market actually wants. They don't want a poor quality one week and a good quality the next week. They want consistency, so their customers are happy. And mussels are a really cheap product out there. They're an amazing product with really great health attributes, really good food, good cheap food. And they're the cheapest form of protein out there in the market today. And it's something that I'm quite proud of, because we've taken a mussel farming from a cottage industry where the mum and dads have been really subsistence growing, and taken a bit more, brought a lot more technology in the actual how we farm, where we farm it, what we do with our product once we've harvested it and processed it, and get it to our customer in a consistent quality, consistent supply, and it's really taken it to another level, or probably another 10 levels up above that.
Mussel farming is a great business for the environment because it provides a substantial source of seafood that is produced in a way that is gentle and cleaning to the ocean. This makes it an important and responsible choice for consumers who are concerned about the impact of their food choices on the environment. It's also a great business for the farmer because it provides a profitable market opportunity, relatively low cost of production, low risk, as well as being environmentally friendly.
We grow our mussels in the New Zealand longline system, and back in 2003 or 4 we went across to New Zealand to see best practice. The New Zealand mussel farming is a massive industry. They grow 120,000 tonne of mussels a year. In comparison to Australia, that produces about 5,000 tonne of mussels a year, it's a big difference. So we went across there to have a look at their longline system, and they have it's like a piece of 16 mil polypropylene rope that's got a loop weaved into the actual rope to make it quite fluffy on the outside, giving it more bulk. So the mussels have got something to hang on to, making it easier for the mussel to hang on to the rope by having that furry outside. With our longline system, we hang our ropes out in the water, and back in May, June, July, mussels are spawn when the water temperature starts to drop, and that spawn will fertilise from the male and female mussels. Male mussel being the white coloured meat, and the female is the orange coloured meat. And the ones that are sort of a creamy colour, they're not real sure which ones they are. They're getting ready to be one or the other because there's not enough of one sort. That spawn fertilises, and that egg will float through that larvae, or spat we call it, will float through the float through the water column over the next 3 to 4 weeks. And once it's quite intensive eating at that time with all the food in the water, and then once it's got to that 4 week stage, it attaches to something. We hang our ropes out in the right time, and we collect all our spat that way. But they'll collect onto our mussel rope that we dangle in the water, or they'll to the backbone ropes, which our or the anchor ropes that we have there as well, onto our floats. They attach to the rocks, the pylons. They'll attach to you if you sit there for long enough. Then over the next 6 months, those mussels will grow up to about to the size of your thumbnail. Somewhere between 10 and 20 mils long in shell length. But the problem when what we do is we hang our ropes out in the water, the mussels will collect onto that, and because they're microscopic, they collect in vast numbers. Anything up to, we've seen 100,000 mussels to the metre. There's that many there. But nature weeds out the strong and weeds out the strong stay there. The weeds out the weak, and some of those mussels will move on. When by Christmas time, those mussels are about, as I said, the size of your thumbnail, and they will. We harvest those mussels and reattach them to the rope because there's too many mouths to feed in that metre of rope, and when they're generally around 2,000 mussels to the metre, we'll harvest those mussels off, reattach them to the rope with we put them through a hopper that pours the mussels through a piece of PVC tube, and on the outside of that PVC tube we have like a cotton sock. Anyway, the cotton sock envelops the mussels, and we wash those mussels onto the rope, into the tube. And then the cotton sock envelops the outside of the mussels and the rope, and we put the mussels onto the rope at about 300 mussels to the metre. That way they spread out, they get a lot more food for each animal of what there would be if there was 2,000 mussels to the metre. And over the next 6 months, those mussels will grow exponentially. They'll from the 10 mil mussel, he'll end up to be 75 mils in 6 months' time, and that's when they are ready to harvest. We recognise that our area where we grow our mussels grows a really fantastic standard size mussel. We also get the big jumbos that some of the guys are doing in Australia at the moment, but we have a consistency of supply and quality to our customer, and we make sure that what they get today is very similar to what they get tomorrow. And our standard size mussels that we grow in Port Lincoln, that's the 65 to 85 mil in shell length, is what we do best.
The harvesting of mussels is a relatively straightforward process that requires careful management and attention to detail to ensure the mussels aren't cracked or broken and are of high quality and are safe for consumption.
And so June is our new season crop. We harvest those mussels. The boys will leave the wharf at about 1 o'clock in the morning. They'll go out to the mussel farm. So they'll pull up alongside the mussel rope, They'll, with their davits on the side of the boat, which is like a little crane, they'll lift the backbone rope up out of the water. They'll take the mussel rope with the mussels on the outside, and they'll pull that through they'll bring that onto the boat and pull it through a stripper, which strips the mussels off of the outside of the rope and into a declumping machine, which slowly revolves, rotates around and pulls the mussels apart, separating the mussels in a gentle action. That we also fill the barrel up full of water, and it just turns into a little washing machine, and the mussels will rub against the outside rub against each other, and by the time it comes out into the barrel, the grate on the end of the barrel, most of all the seaweed and bifouling on the outside of the shell has been taken off. We'll then go over an inspection conveyor where we have a quick look to pick out any of the clumps of mussels or the other oysters or other things that we don't want in our catch. And then I'll go over a grader where we grade the small mussels out from the larger mussels. They'll drop then into a bulker bag, which holds about 500 kilos of mussels at one time. They'll lift those mussels up, put them onto the deck, put some hessian sacks on the top, and that's an important part for you guys at home as well. When you store if you've taken your mussels out of our mussel bags, put them in a bowl, put a wet tea towel on the top, and put them in the fridge like that, and they'll keep for a lot longer. We do a similar thing on the boat where we put some wet hessian sacks on the top of the mussels, 50 kilos of ice on top of that, and wash that through. And just start on the cooling process of getting those mussels down to temperature so they can go into our bag, and they can. It's part of the cold chain, which starts once they leave the water. Then they once the harvest has happened, they'll get back to port by about 6 o'clock in the morning. They'll unload those mussels onto the back of a truck. They'll go out to the factory, and our new factory that we built 3 years ago, they'll start processing at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they'll harvest. They'll pack those mussels. They'll clean them, and they'll put them through an inspection table to take out the cracked and broken mussels. They'll go over the debearding machine, which as the mussels pass over the debearding bed, pulls the beard out of the mussels and also cleans up the outside of the shell a little bit. They'll drop down into a cooling bath, which chills the mussels down, and they're in that bath for the next 3 or 4 minutes. That gets the core temperature of the fish down to about 8 to 10 degrees. And then it goes through a scrubbing machine, which is a high-pressure scrubber, and through a final inspection table where they'll pick out any of the undebearded mussels, which goes out to our commodity product. And then the premium grade goes through to our vacuum pack machines, which will vacuum pack our mussels into 1 kilo for retail home use, and also into 2 kilo packs, which is a food service pack. That was something that I went to Europe to see best practice over there back in the day, back in 2006, and recognised that there was by vacuum packing our mussels, we can put 1 kilo of mussels into a vacuum with a bit of overpack as well, but put 1 kilo of mussels into a vacuum pack, pull a partial vacuum, which keeps the water inside the shell. We chill that mussel down to between 2 and 5 degrees, and by chilling that down, slowing the metabolism down, those mussels there will have we've been able to extend the shelf life by 50%. So a typical loose mussel that you see down in the shop, down the deli counter at Woolies and so forth, has got a shelf life of about 6 or 7 days from harvest. this has been a major change in our industry by value adding to our product like that. You sell a kilo, you buy a kilo, you sell a kilo for the wholesalers, which is really important. And the thing that I really one of my ethoses right from the start was to by putting it into that vacuum pack, my customer can buy their mussels here in South Australia, New South Wales, Perth, Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, Dubai, and they can experience the mussels there, like in those places, the same as I can experience the mussels in Port Lincoln.
South Australian mussels are considered special due to the nutrient-rich waters of Boston Bay, where Pugs farms them. With a rich marine environment, innovative and environmentally friendly farming methods, and state-of-the-art processing, their quality and integrity are maximised. Pugs' Port Lincoln mussels have a distinctive sweet flavour and soft, creamy texture.
Touched on this a little bit earlier, Johnny. You are what you eat, and that was one of the things that mussels in Port Lincoln have got. The food that's in the water there is slightly different to the food that's in the Western Australian fisheries, and also in the New South Wales fisheries, New South Wales, Victorian, and Tasmania. The mussels from those different areas were quite from outside of South Australia are quite savoury in flavour, and in no way am I saying that is that any better or worse than our mussels, but the mussels in South Australia and Port Lincoln have a quite a sweet flavour, which is just basically what they eat, and it's a characteristic of what our mussels like, and it's just it's traditional for what it's not traditional. It's just a characteristic of our growing area. And that's probably why there's so many diverse fisheries in and around Port Lincoln. There is because of the high nutrient loadings, the low freshwater runoffs and so forth. So it's a special area, and it really does bring something to the mussel that we harvest and send around Australia.
Pugs is not only an innovative fisherman turned mussel farmer, he's also a true trencherman with an insatiable appetite for good food. A dab hand on the pans, he's also known for his ability to rustle up a tasty feed of mussels at any time of the day or night.
Mussels are great. Like the first time I ever ate mussels was with Andy Dyer. After we met down at the yacht club there, I went around to his place after work on a Friday night to have a beer and have a bit of a chat, put a bit of a plan in place. He just got a pot, put it on the stove, threw some mussels in there, no water, nothing, just turned the heat on. Brought out, a couple of kilos of mussels. We sat there drinking beer and eating mussels. That was just classic. A really, really basic way of eating a great, you really taste the nuances of the flavour profiles of that animal, and it's just to steam the mussels and eating them like that, I reckon it's fantastic. I've got two favourite recipes, and one that I cook a lot is steam the mussels, and cooking mussels one-on-one, guys. You get the biggest pot you've got, put a lid on, put a little bit of fresh water or seawater in the bottom of it, cook them for 4 or 5 minutes, stir them 2 or 3 times to make sure the mussels all get the same amount of heat at the bottom of the pot, and when they've popped open, they're cooked. You don't leave them in there for any longer than that. And I chuck the mussels straight into the sink, splash a little bit of cold water over the top of them, and then they're ready to eat. But also they're ready to cook as well. Steam your mussels, make sure that that they're cooked how you want them to. Make a sauce, add the mussels to the sauce, and then heat them through and serve. That way you're controlling the amount of mussel stock that goes into your sauce. You can add that in to taste, But if you make a beautiful tomato sugo and you put your mussels in there to cook, each mussel holds about 15 to 20 mils of salty water. It's a great salty stock, really great flavour. But out of a kilo of mussels, you'll get nearly 500 mils of salty stock. You put that into a beautiful tomato sugo, it turns into a tomato soup, and it's quite salty to go with it. So I always steam your mussels first so you can control the amount of how long you cook your mussels for and how much salty stock that goes into your sauce. My favourite dish is steam your mussels, like I started on before. You'll notice I lose track and go off on a bit of a tangent from time to time. But I steam your mussels first, put them into and I heat about 150 mils of good quality olive oil. Don't get it smoking hot, just get it nice and warm. Throw in a couple of cloves of chopped garlic to infuse the flavour, and a couple of bird's eye chilies as well to give it a bit of punch. Tip your mussels into that oil. Start heating them through, and you put in a handful of chopped parsley in on top of that. Heat the mussels through and serve. A great tapas. It takes to actually cook that dish, how I've just explained it, is pretty much as long as it's taken me to describe it to you. It's really quick, simple. It's great flavours out of the olive oil, garlic, and parsley with a little bit of chili in it. But you can really taste the mussel flavour, and that's what I really prize is a beautiful. The beautiful flavours of our mussels. I also cook a great dish which I got out of one of John Snow's recipes of Portuguese mussels with tomato and chorizo, and that's a great dish where the chorizo adds a beautiful flavour through to the mussels. You put in some bird's eye chilies, and that's a favourite that we have up at Woofers Shed on a Wednesday night. Part of the chef's tour, we take them up to a mate of mine's place up on the outskirts of Port Lincoln there on a Wednesday night and cook up the mussels there. I've cooked them up a lot of different ways up there. They always love the tomato, the Portuguese mussels in tomato and chorizo. And I cook that on with plenty of, probably about 4 or 5 bird's eye chilies, and after a few beers, everyone really fires into it. It's great. It's my favourite. And the cool part about those two dishes, they're great on their own. Use a half shell the mussels so you can just eat the mussel and the oil or all the tomato sauce at the same time. It's a great shared meal. But also, you can add that through to a pasta, toss the pasta through to it, and a really fantastic meal for 3 or 4 of you on a weeknight.
Pugs and his team have built the largest, most technologically advanced and most awarded mussel farm in Australia. The business has spent a great deal of time innovating and building a range of not only live, pot-ready mussels, but also ready-to-heat and serve mussels, providing access and enjoyment to his mussels for both gourmands and TV viewer chefs alike.
We started our mussels. We did 58 tonnes our first year. We've evolved our mussel our farm. Now this year we'll harvest and sell 2,500 tonnes of mussels. So things have really changed for us. We've got our mussels into each of the capital cities of Australia and out into the regional areas in a food service and in a retail form. We've since taken it. We've got our mussels, and you'll see our Kinkawuka shellfish and Boston Bay brands in Woolworths, Coles, Aldi, and also in Costco over in Western Australia. So we've gone retail with our product now, and you know that it's really exciting for where we're going with our live mussels, and we've also got our cooked in the bag mussels, which is our long shelf life mussels, which is 500 grams of 500 grams of mussels that have been put inside the pack. They're fully cooked inside the bag is sealed, and then we put it into a retort. Fully cook that inside the bag so it kills all the bacteria inside the shell. inside the animal. And by cooking that like that, it gives it a shelf life of 9 months chilled. Fantastic product where you can make your sauce, throw your mussels in and just heat them through and serve. And also it's got a great mussel stock in there that you can use in your cooking, your mussel sauces and so forth. And then one of the things, our new product that's out in the marketplace now over the last 2 years is our mussel hot pot, which is a tub of mussels. It's got 400 grams of mussels in the tub, 200 mils of either tomato, white wine and garlic, tom yum, or chowder sauces. They are the 4 different sauces that we've got, and that's the same sort of technology where we've got a tub of mussels and sauce. The lid's been put onto the pot. It's been reheated inside the pot. It's been fully cooked inside the pot. So that by cooking it to that level there, that gives it a shelf life of 6 months chilled. That's our new ready-made meal that is out in the marketplace at the moment and is doing really well. The value added arena in any of the markets around the place is in the retail sector is the growing sector for us, and growing sector for all of us, I suppose. People are time poor, and you can buy a packet of our mussels, pierce the lid, put it into the hot pot, into the microwave for 2.5 minutes, give it a stir, and serve. It really takes all the headaches out of coming up with a meal for the time poor consumer.
Pugs is committed to the seafood industry like few people I've met around the world. His love for the industry and what it produces is a true inspiration.
I'm really passionate about the seafood industry. It's something that I've always looked at us as the poor younger brother to the farming industry here in Australia. It's when you look at what the big powerhouses of fishing in the world have done, such as Norway and Japan, Russia, and those, the fishing industry is a very strong industry. Here in Australia, it is the poor younger brother to the wheat and the grain farmers, meat farmers, the lamb barons, and so forth. And we, it's something that I'm very passionate about. It's a beautiful, beautiful protein that we can put out in the marketplace for, something that is unique in the world. We've got really great fish here in Australia. We've got great institutions like Sydney Fish Market here that we're in now, and the wholesalers out there that support the actual that sell the product. It's an exciting industry to be in, and something that I'm very passionate about because I've grown up in it, and as I said earlier on, I was a 5th generation fisherman, and something I'm proud to. It's an industry I'm very proud to be a part of.
Success in the fishing industry often requires a combination of staying informed, flexibility, networking, and hard work and determination. By being open to new opportunities and adapting to changing circumstances, fishermen can improve their chances of success and achieve their goals. Andy Puglisi is one such fisherman, ever questioning, ever searching for perfection, and always attacking his job with enthusiasm and professionalism. Let's see what the next phase of his illustrious seafood career brings. This is Fishtales, a seafood podcast. A Deep in the Weeds production. I'm John Susman. Follow us on Instagram at Fishtales Seafood Podcast, or email us at fishtalespodcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay tuned for more tales from beneath the surface of the seafood world every Friday on your podcast app.